Well, welcome to Rendering Insights. In this video, we're going to be drawing the front view of a 65 Corvette. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe down below. All right, this is the drawing we're going to be doing. It's really a cool, dramatic view of this front of this Vette. It'll be fun to do. We're going to do the line work in Illustrator and then bring it into Photoshop and put our color on it. All right, let's go. All right, here we are in Illustrator. In this case, my client had sent me a bunch of pictures of this Corvette that he's building. And this front view was just striking. This dramatic, kind of exaggerated perspective almost was great. Make a fun little drawing. He'd already chosen what tires he's going to use, so we had everything we needed to do this drawing. So we scanned that in, and with the pen tool, just went ahead and used that as a guide and drew out all of our lines, all of our critical lines around the car that we can take into Photoshop. All right, let's take it in and put some color on it and have some fun. Okay, we have our line work here in Photoshop. First thing we're going to do is go ahead and take this layer, drag it down on the right, and make 5 copies of it. Not sure we're going to use them all, but man, I like to have them. Okay, on that bottom layer, we're going to go ahead and drop in all of our base colors. All right, now the builder is going to be painting this car kind of a real pretty champagne-y gold color. So for a base color on our paint job, we're going to put in kind of a tan color. All right, that's what that looks like. We just put in some grays down here in these inserts. And on our tires, I know tires are black, but again, I like to use kind of this dark warm gray as a base for our tires, and we'll put some shadows in here later. All right, and then just this color in here for a cockpit. It's just in the shadow. There's not going to be any detail back here. All right, that gives us a good foundation to do a little bit of shading on. All right, on our next line layer, go ahead and open that up. And with our paintbrush tool in black, we're going to go ahead and start brushing in some shadows. Now, you can see, now these are separated by these lines in here. So with your magic wand tool, you select this section, and it's going to pick up all this surround here and real lightly brush in light black in here just to create a little bit of shadow underneath. And on the edges, remember this is still selected with your white, just a little bit of highlight out there. This section is a little trickier. This Corvette has this crazy shape over these fenders, and it's really hard to replicate that in a drawing. So what I did was selected this area, again with that magic wand tool in here, and with that black, real lightly brushed back and forth in here, paying attention to this line right here. I want that to have a real kind of a soft blend transition down to the hood, the surface here. All right, I don't care what's going on up here. I'm just kind of brushing here, paying attention to that. Doing the same on this side. Then with my eraser tool, remember this is still selected in here, this whole section. Not this part of the hood, but just this part here. With that eraser tool, come in here and I'm erasing everything out here, creating this line, trying to help establish this shape on the top of this fender, running that down, keeping this soft here and crisper here, doing the same on this side. It took me a while to figure out how to do that, but it works. I mean, it's not perfect, but it gives you the idea that it has this shape, this roll off, and this transition here. All right, remember this is still selected, so you can put a little bit of shadow over here, a little bit of shadow over here, and of course a little bit on your reflection on this cowl area off the roof here, and then a little bit toward the front. Keeping this pure up here because this is going to be a little bit of a highlight area. And then select, each section of your hood. Now I'm not sure how I was going to do the shape of this, but little by little just kind of creeping up on it. So on this side, being careful not to cross over, just brushed in a little here and let that run out. Okay, darken it up inside here. Just having fun, darkening in these surrounds in here. And you can see on our tires, remember before we just put in that base color. So in this layer, you can select all these areas. They'll light up. Remember they're white in between this tire tread. And brushed in our black. just real lightly, so it looks like these tires are tucked underneath the car. Okay, now in these areas, this grill opening and inside on this hood here, there's like an expanded metal screen area in here, so that's what we're going to put in. So I took a picture of some expanded metal and dropped it in behind this layer and then trimmed around the outside what I didn't want. This is what it looks like. It's a little harsh. I had to go here and erase all these insides. It was crazy to do. And then made a little smaller portion back here. But you can get an idea that there is a screen layer in here. And it's pretty factual to the car, what they're going to use. All right. On the next line layer now, which is actually line layer number 3, we're going to start doing some shadows and knock some of this down a little bit. So this is what I did. I dropped it in there, and the cool part is I can select this area with that magic wand, get my black, and just brush this in, all these shadows around here, and it just brings this down where it's easier on the eye. Same up here, and on this layer also, see those highlights in the front? Down below, I was able to select here and put a little bit of shadow. I was able to select here and brush in a little bit of highlight along that edge. Okay, just look at your photograph or whatever you're using and just slowly building this rendering to make it look like the way you want. Same on the front. See those changes? Okay, I already had this back here, but I hadn't put it up front yet. So in this layer, I put that in. Playing some highlights up here in these shadows. Okay, on the next line layer, we're just going to be doing some highlights down in this lower section. See that? On this mouth, I want to go ahead and just put some little more drastic highlights down here. Just a little bit. I don't know. I don't think you're going to get any real highlights here, but I wanted to anyway. So there you go. There's a little bit of highlights. All right. On your next line layer, I think it's the second to last one we have, start playing on some windshield tints in here. We still want to look through and see what we got going on back here. Now this is kind of harsh. We'll soften it up as we go. But in this layer, we got in here with some kind of a gray blue, brushed that in, and a little bit darker, almost peacock color came in here and just tightened it up over on this side, inside this panel. All right. And then I think it's on our last line layer. We're going to go ahead and work on some highlights. So we open that up and just play with some highlights. Now on that windshield, we just put that darker color in there. Remember that? We select this layer in here with our white and just kind of brush in some reflection on this side and soften everything on this side and just blend that over to that color, and it just looks so much better. All right. Same thing everywhere else. We just kind of brushed in some highlights, and I let that highlight spill over the top of this, softening up that crease a little bit. It's not exactly the same side to side, which it would never be in a photograph or in real life, but it's close. I decided to put a pretty bright reflection over on this side. I tried different things and I just like it. I just like what it did. If you focus in on that, it looks kind of funny, but when you step back and take everything in, it looks pretty good. Soften in some highlights out here too. All right. Now the last thing we're going to do on the car itself is bring in a few little sparkle highlights. Back in Illustrator, I had drawn some little star sparkles. I only brought 3 in for this drawing. You see them there? There's one down here on this mouth opening, one right here, and then one right on the corner there on the hood. All right, just those little tiny details just to help make your drawing look a little bit better. All right, the only other thing we need to do, right now the car's kind of floating. We're not going to put a background on this drawing, but the car is still floating, so we need a shadow. So on another layer behind the car, I grabbed my paintbrush tool and some black and just started playing, kind of brushing in where I thought that shadow ought to go. And this is what I came up with, okay? It's not solid black, but just something to replicate what a shadow might be underneath this Corvette. All right, well, there's kind of a quick take on how to render a front view of a 65 Vette. Well, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video or found it helpful in any way, please check out our other videos available on Rendering Insights.